And let's see if we can get a signal to the Bat Cave, as is tradition, as we always do on the YouTubes. And we are live. Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Jedi Academy here on RSG. I'm your host, Ranger J 1999, and joining me for right now, we've got hello, Governor Never.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Governor.
Hello, Governor.
And we are here to do the Jedi Academy, the show where we answer all your questions about Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Any content creators that want to jump in will jump in on the Zoom call, and you can ask us questions. And how that works is if you have a question, all you got to do is put that question into the chat. Make sure you put the word question for your actual question, comment, or statement, and we will get that read and give you the best answer or response that we can. That's just the way it works. We are on YouTube, so if you want to help us with our content, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe, all that stuff. It really does matter. Leave comments on the videos and things of that nature, and give your greetings. Say hi to me, say hi to the panel, say hi to all the skewers in the chat, and make sure we will shout you out and get those questions in. It's pretty straight, simple format. We have someone else join us. Har, be me well in Cannoneer, Carther Genigus. Har.
Har, ye matey.
Har, Nev not be part of me crew. Throw him over the deck. Har. Rename them.
There'd be a good spot to put him in the crow's nest.
No,
Har,
no,
har,
no.
that's right. Me look out,
No.
Nev.
We're the OG pirates. Thank you very much. The British. We're the OG pirates. You just, you picked it up off us.
I know. We all know that the Chinese were the first pirates. Get out of here.
No. The East India Tea Company, which was British, was the first pirate.
What was the Dutch? I know there's a lot of piracy that the British did against Spain and other stuff. Like, I don't know. Who gives a shit? Britain.
Well, I mean, they didn't do it technically as Britain. The East India Tea Company would.
Well, Elizabeth was like,
from the government.
If you would like to pirate, that'd be cool, but we can't officially sponsor it.
No,
we don't want to go to war.
No, we'll call you a privateer, and that way.
That's right.
They called them privateers. They were not pirates. They were privateers.
So there you go. How are you this morning, Carthaginigus?
Oh, doing well. Just
getting wakey, eggs and bakey.
Yeah, getting all the fun shenaniganry put together of TP and the raid right now.
So. Yeah, I went and did the Jedi Cal mission, got smoked. So I'm gonna have to put that Omicron on. Not that we really need, because we're going to.
You don't need it.
Yeah, we're gonna
do it. You can do it with you, but you need JML and Jedi Knight Luke. Like, you have to have that duo and Shock T. I think that's like, you need those three, and then the fourth is kind of optional. You can run in with Hermit Yoda, Jolie, whatever you want to throw in there as a safety net support, but you do need to have JML to get that turn meter out the rip, and then the ability blocks.
Yeah, I just went in there and just to test with some UFUs and stuff, and it's like, ooh,
yeah.
I mean, I beat the Ray one, but I was like,
no, that one was rough.
Yeah, that one was rough. But hey, we got it done, and that's all that matters. And
we're gonna easily cruise through. We've already maxed Zepho. We're only like 10 million away from maxing Lothal, and then we still have like.
I haven't deployed yet. Shit.
A ton of stuff left for deployments. Like, I think when I checked a little bit ago, we were at 180 million left to deploy, and I'm like, well, that's about 80 million more than we need to finish out what we're doing this phase.
What do you want me to deploy here real quick before we get started here? I guess
either do either dark
or the dark side. Okay.
Yeah, dark or middle. I open those up to 210.
210. Who's got the?
I think it's dark side.
Make Karth's life easier. That's what I'm all about here. God damn it. All right, there we go. All right. So for this stream, I give you a great number. I'll shout everybody out. But for this one, Jedi Academy, probably going to be the last one for the year, because next weekend's Christmas, and then the weekend after that's like my mom's birthday and New Year's and everything. So I may get one in next year, but I don't know yet. I got to see what's going on with everything. That being said, I kind of want to do a year-end review for myself and whoever else wants to join in the chat. Get your questions in. And normal Star Wars Galaxy Heroes questions are welcome, but kind of thinking about this now. Thanks to everybody that reached out to me. I did make it through the tornadoes. We had 3 hit my area, and as you guys know, I have been streaming all week because, well, I couldn't.
Apparently, my tornado didn't get there. I was hoping for utter destruction.
Yeah, I know. You miss. You failed your heinous. So, but yeah, I literally got internet back Thursday night on top of everything else. The area got hit really hard. And so it still cleanups going on. Massive amounts of trees were lifted up and all that stuff that goes in with the tornado. But we're safe. We're okay. I just wasn't able to stream. So yesterday was my first streaming in a long time. So appreciate everybody reaching out, make sure I was okay, things of that nature. And I kept everybody updated in RSG. Anytime that I have any updates, I will always put that in RSG updates, like if I'm not streaming or anything like that. So just be a part of our Discord and you can get all those messages and stuff. And there you go. All right, get your questions in. Before I get into this subject that I want to cover, let's say hi to everybody. I think, gentlemen, we should say hello to all the mans and women's out there.
Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. Ray Rock says, good Saturday morning, Ranger. Flashers of pickles, strokers of Wookiees, drinkers of coffee, and eaters of tacos. Yes, that does describe us all very well. Glad you got your internet sorted out, Ranger. Hope all the storm cleanups are finished. Not even close, dude. When you have giant trees all over the place and power lines and poles ripped out of the ground, it takes a little bit of a long time. Yeah, it takes a while to clean up. Yeah, house is destroyed. That takes a little time. But it's coming along slowly. Michael W. Huntington III from His Majesty's Secret Gaming Service here in Datacron 3 says, good afternoon, British man. Good to see you. Desi Jingle Snarf's here says, good morning, Skewers. It's good to see Ranger back. I'm driving, so I'm going to be at alert mode this morning, but love you all. Oh, she meant lurk mode. Okay, she's lurking. Got it. Desi Jingle Snarf. Yes, Linky is safe for once, Desi Snarf. Stopper98 says hello there from across the pond. Hello there. Darkside joining in on that with a hello there. Kimmy, hit me, Kimmy, one more time. Says good morning, Skewers. Good morning, Kimmy, baby. Glad to have you here. Michael W. Huntington says, I've got crow's feet. Does that count? No. Fail. Let's see here. Stopper says, I failed the WAP mission again. Love when the clone trooper decides to just end my attempt. That happens. Hey, Sus Dominguez. So sorry to hear that. Glad you're okay. I am okay. I'm doing just fine. Mr. Bones Rattler says, good morning, Skewers. Good morning. So get your questions in, get all that stuff in. And that being said, I'd like to cover not a lot of news. There's nothing really new to cover.
Nothing really exciting,
No.
but I mean I'm not gonna lie, the artwork that Meat had posted on Friday for Bane was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's fine, but I mean, really, that's Felix Nemike says hello there. Always good to catch you all live. Glad to have you here, Felix. Contingent says good morning, everyone. Good morning, Contingent. I always get nervous when Contingent's there. I have to start hearing clink clinks, and then I'm doing morning shoeys. Yes, if you want to see me do a shoey, a breakfast shoey, get him in now because only a couple more days until Ranger will not be streaming for the rest of the year. And if you do, just go clink clink, and then I have to drink Foster's out of Desi's shoe, and it's horrible. Hated it.
Yeah, because Desi don't wash those feet,
and that's not a bad thing. It has very clean feet. So let's get into this. Keep giving your greetings, get your questions in, follow the format, and we'll get this going on. I want to cover this year in Star Wars. I want to be fair. I want to cover something negative, but something positive too. So we'll go back and forth, let everybody speak up on this, and I'll be fair, Garth. And the first thing I'll say, one thing I think that they did well this year was the Jedi Cal event. I thought it was well done. Hardly any issues with it that I can remember. If there was, they were minor. But they did a great job with the story and just the feel of playing the original, Fallen Order. They captured the essence of it perfectly. And the characters and Jedi Cal were fantastic characters. So for my first positive, I'm going to go Jedi Cal. as the event is one of the few events, and we'll get to that as another pet peeve of mine. But that one was pretty goddamn good. I really liked the Jedi Cal event. Nav, I know you didn't get a chance to do it, so I won't.
I'm farming. I've got. I've got 3 of the characters necessary.
Yeah.
I think I've just got. Is Tarful one of the ones you need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tarful. I've just got. So I'm just finishing off Tarful. I think I've got him at like 80 out of 100. And I've got all the other characters. I just have to gear them,
Yeah.
Because they've got to be 12. Is it 12 for the event? They got to be.
Yeah,
gear 12. Yeah.
you can do it at 12. It's real easy.
Yeah,
it's actually really nice. A little bit of puzzles and stuff,
yeah.
but it's actually a lot of fun.
Well, I've been trying to take them each to 12 as I 7-star them.
Sure.
So as soon as I hit them at 7-star, it's like, okay, right, I'll take you at 12 now. But the problem is, in the last month, I've unlocked Cam and I've just unlocked Malgus. So these extra characters keep getting thrown in there, and then they eat up all my Kairos. You know?
So Cairo hungry little mofos.
Oh god, all 5 of them are. It's like, what the hell, And then Malgus is obviously, thirsty for them as well, and I really need him ready for next week. I really want him ready for next week, for the final week of GAC.
But you really might see Jedi Cal in the next week or two as well.
Probably, yeah. Sorry, buddy.
That's the only unfortunate.
It's not in the journey guide yet, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. This will be its second return, but my guess is that it's going to show. My guess is that it goes live with the update on next Wednesday, and then it will activate sometime. I think that week after Christmas.
Okay,
is my guess.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to get enough Kairos to finish all.
There's Linky.
12.
I mean, there is a way. I just don't think you're willing to go down that path.
All right.
What way?
Okay.
Lots of wailing.
Yeah, no.
But
not
any thoughts before I give my first negative, Karth, on the Jedi Cal event?
The Jedi Cal event was really solid. I think thematically well thought out. The fights were done. The artwork that they did for everything was unique. It was very well done environments for the fights. They really kind of captured the pivotal moments of the of that particular game. So it was overall solid. I really enjoyed the fact that they put it as Gear 12. Like, I know it was kind of a promotional thing because they want people to get in with Jedi Cal and bring more attention to the game, and I get all that. But it's nice to have events that doesn't just absolutely be like, hey, R7 everything, good luck. It's like, it was Gear 12, but it was a good Gear 12. It was manageable at Gear 12. It was not like, well, it's Gear 12 to get in there, but R3.
This wasn't gas. Yeah, this wasn't gas or Malik, man. This is something different, dude. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it.
So I've actually got an event to look forward to then.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. You're gonna have some feels, and they did a really good job. If you haven't played the game, you might miss some things, but since I played Fallen Order, I was like, oh God, perfect. They captured the certain fights and certain things in that really bloody well. They did a really fantastic. We'll do a couple questions here and statements, and then we'll get into my first negative, and then we'll go around the corner, as Grande likes to say to the kids on the streets. Stopper says, what do you think of a TV light side bundle as an idea? You would have Geos, Hoth brothers, and stuff who would cover the 4 old territory battles.
I mean, they're kind of already doing that
in a
to
way,
a degree,
yeah.
Because the Thrawn bundle they're putting out there is going to get you a lot of the rebels that you need, for that particular thing. And then I guarantee you, at some point they will do a Padme event one that has the Separatist.
Yeah,
like it's coming down the pike. They just want to stagger this off enough to see what the interest is in it. And they're looking. The thing they're looking at is the key demographic of the players you're picking it up are players probably with accounts that are under 3 years old.
Yeah,
that's why these bundles exist in the first place. Is they're trying to target those players and to get them engaged into getting into the game more, because that early hump, it gets really hard to overcome, especially with the power curve at the late game. So people want to get to GLs faster, and so kind of eliminating the gear that you need to do that and the requirements really helps.
Yeah. The hyperdrive bundle, when they first brought the hyperdrive bundle out, what was that, Ranger? Was that year 5 or it was, I think
It was
year
2
5.
years ago. It was 2
or 3
years ago. Yeah.
something like that.
They brought that out.
Remember,
and
about to
everybody
be in
thought-
2024, so our timing's a little off.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think it was
So
2021 when that came out.
and that was a great boost to bring in the next generation of players, because they'd switched everything. They were starting to change the GAC. I remember it distinctly because I started a brand new second account. I was doing the pillar system. I was doing a new pillar system series. I was about 100 days into it, and then they dropped that bundle, and I was so annoyed because I was free to play. But you mentioning these lightning bundles, that was the one thing that kind of really pulled me in this year, was hearing about them, because I'd already gone for Slacker, I hadn't gone for Ray, and all I heard from every content creator was, you go out and get this. If you haven't got it, it's great value.
It's huge value.
$10 for like 15 characters at R5. Yeah, like
the Lightspeed bundle and these other light side bundles and stuff that they put out for all these characters, big ups for me for this year. Was pleasantly surprised, Karth. We didn't see that one coming. We predicted a lot of stuff this year, but we didn't see that shit coming, man. And when I thought I was being trolled when someone first sent me that pack. I was like, ha 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 ha. April Fool's was 5 months ago, asshole. And they're like, no, it's real. What?
Yeah, I thought someone was pulling my leg. I'm like, yeah, right. No, it's like, no, they're not going to give. They're not going to give Relic 5 characters for $10 when the Hyperdrive bundle costs 50. It makes no sense having those two things next to each other in the store, but there it was, and I'm looking at it.
I'm like,
yeah,
good job.
So someone new coming to the game's like, okay, so I could spend $50 and I'll get that, but if I spend 10 on that and 10 on that and 10 on that, I get that. Yeah,
well, you do it in combination. Get all your characters 85 for $50, and then like once those packs come around every few often, it's like $20.
If you started playing the game day one during that 2-week period,
did I start?
No. What I'm saying is, if a person started the game from scratch, a day one player came to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes that was going to be a spender during that 2-week period, those lightning bundles were on. If they'd spent 100, they could have got all the lightning bundles and the hyperdrive bundle in day one.
Yeah,
day one,
$100 something dollars, and
that's just over $100 after taxes, and then you would be like massive.
Ready for SLKR, ready for Ray.
Honestly, I thought about doing it on my little account that I've got that I just hardly ever play at the moment. But I was like, I don't play it enough to even warrant spending money on an account that I'm going to probably let alone after a few weeks of reinvigoration.
That's why I was surprised one of the big content creators didn't do it, because I think it would have been fun to see what it looks like and what an account would have been capable of doing, because the bigger channels can.
Well, I've seen it, man. People, we do tens of thousands of reviews and stuff, and I've seen reviews where I'm like, okay, getting Ray, okay, getting SOKR, okay. It's like good, because now what it doesn't do, it doesn't give you the Zetas and it doesn't give you the mods, so you have to play catch up. And it doesn't give you all the characters. You have to go get stuff like BB-8s and
you still got to get the
finalizer. You have to work on certain things, but I mean, it's a way, and I think it was really smart for CG, because one of the things we've been talking about is, in the beginning, who do you farm? If you're going to free to play, I'll give you a path. But if you're going to spend $20-$30 and get these packs, okay, that changes things. Now you just need to stop what you're doing. Don't work on anything else. Just work on mods and stuff. Get these caught up, because it's 2 GLs potentially right there with their fleets that are done. Then you can go doing stuff like GATs and other things, because you've got 2 GLs in your account now. And I think what's brilliant about these packs is that it really is bringing players that are down here closer to the people mid-tier and high, because it helps in TB, overall GP and TB. It helps in the raids for certain characters. It helps in a lot of stuff. Not the raid, but in other things, conquest, things of that nature, because it allows players to have these more impactful tunes. One of the things we saw, or how many times have we seen this? People get to 4 million GP, they get into conquest, and they're just like, I can't do anything with it. Unless they farmed a specific path they were really behind the 8 ball when they got the conquest, even on normal mode, right? So I think it was a smart move on CG. I give them this will be a positive for me for the year, and I think it's a smart way for them to get players caught up. Not Proving Grounds characters. It's gotten better, but the main GLs, and we know that JML and C are going to get some here eventually. We've seen that, I think, in the data mine. So your thoughts on the packs there, Karth?
So the short of it is that these packs are solid investments for anybody who's willing to spend on the game. But like Mr. Bone just said it in the chat, like the downside is that you're just massive behind on Zetas and mods and things of that nature. But the way I would look at it too is that like early game, Datacrons can really override any reason to do mods. So if you can get to them faster, then I think that your performance is going to spike anyways. And I think that might be the direction they go. I would not be surprised if they add Datacron farming to the normal mode early next year to help push players to get engaged with that content, because it's like that's the problem, is that you get players at the top end that it doesn't really change anything for, and then they're all surprised when nobody wants to engage with the content. It's like, well, if you can't get to it, you can't farm it till you're, realistically closer to 8 million GP, then you're not going to engage with it. So giving players a lot more access to characters, especially older ones, that kind of help them bring them up on the meta. Because it's like, Slacker is probably the better hyperdrive bundle to get, because Slacker on his own is a far more functional team.
Yeah.
Ray needs Ben, and that's another can of worms. So it's like, but I mean, like the thing that with the current ones are weird, because we're gonna get like 4 more that come out over the holidays. Because one's for the finalizer, one's for straight up Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, one's for unlocking Emperor Palpatine and Thrawn, right? And so that's going to be a huge swath of people. Like, I know there is probably there are very few people in our guild, if they spend, that they won't buy those packs. Why? Because they don't have Phoenix at R3, but they've got Captain Rex because of Leia.
Yeah.
So immediately taking your Phoenix up to R3 sounds like a huge win to me. So I'm kind of okay with it, because it's the downside with those older characters. They just always get left behind because it's hard to commit the gear to them. So bringing it in a little bit to make it more affordable, like more not affordable, but more realistic for players to kind of take easy steps up on really old characters that they just happen to be meta now because of XYZ reasons. I think that's the right way to go.
That's right. All right. Kimmy had a question before I start my negatives. Kimmy says, question, why does it feel like Beskar Manda Whistling Birds hit for so little damage? He's new for me and I'm struggling with his damage. Could be a couple reasons. Could be the team you're running him with, or where you're running him with,
or how he's modded.
Modded is a big deal. If you go to my SWGOH.dg, I can't pull it up for you right now, Kimmy, you'll see that I have tons of offense and shit on him, because survivability and offense, because you want him to be able to survive, right? But you also want him, when he does his shit, you want him to hit hard. That could be the issue. Those are the only 2 ways that I could see. And his relic level, depending on what you're fighting, can limit, how much damage he's doing.
Honestly, Bam's one of those characters that wants to be a minimum of R7 because of how they made his kit work, right? He is a character that is true damage, so you need a large offensive pool. And so relic levels is the easiest way to increase that, especially if you have a hard time getting a mod set together. But it's also you need to get the team built around it, and then it needs to be in the right turn order. The OG BAM squad that they produced to us was just an absolute cluster of, you need to hit certain parameters which required pretty good modding, which for a lot of early players they didn't have. And so if you don't have that all put together, then BAM just becomes a bounty hunter 5th that can give everyone DI. Like, that's basically how that shakes loose if you don't have everything else to go with it.
Yeah. So, but if you're not sure, just message me in Discord. Kimmy, I can look at it or send it to Karth. Just tag us in Discord if you want to. Good morning to What Else 73. Johnny Mo, what's going on? John Moran, before we get to our next thing, says, question, I'm working on Geo Leia team. What's the best lineup for her? Pretty much, in my opinion, Karth. I mean, there's a couple lineups you can run. It's obviously Drogon and R2, but I really like the old Ben Baze I mean, that is a really bitch of a team in 5s to face. In 3s is Drogon and R2. So that's straight up. What team are you running, Karth? But yours is stupid because you have all the relics on.
Well, so right now it's been kind of a combination of doing the same shit, right? What am I trying to think of here? It's Drogon Baze or Drogon and R2 for sure. That's the critical component of that team. But I find that the pre-taunting tank helps with some stuff. So like I like Baze for that because he's a pre-taunting tank. He gains turn meter passively. He's got an AoE dispel plus a single target dispel. He gains turn meter passively. He's got a massive health pool. So a lot of positives that you can use under Leia. But Leia gives so much benefits to Jedi tanks that it makes no sense to not go in with one. Because like even like Chirrut Baze together, it's an annoying combination, but like old Ben just takes the punches way better and than Baze does when you get to the tail end of it. So it's kind of a back and forth. But yeah, I do agree Baze and old Ben make the best 4th and 5th, I think, for the average squad. In TW, I use Farm Boy Luke.
So great.
Because the Omicron is stupid nutty under Leia. So I like using that one. You know, watching Farm Boy Luke after a couple turns outpace Drogon's damage is hilarious.
So
but it's not going to be long lived. Once the Drogoncron falls off, she's going to move to basically be a purely offensive team, and then at that point, there's a lot more flexibility in how you build the squad because it doesn't really matter what you're doing at that point because it just doesn't change. Like offensively, you can control the situation far better than you could on a defensive perspective. So,
good morning, What Else 93. It has been a week since you've seen me last. Them goddamn tornadoes. Our Skywalker Vader, good Vulcan friend with other motion people and Vulcans in Canada there, eh? This is good morning, gentlemen. Oh yeah, bud. Yeah, so got to see you here, buddy. So yeah, and then one more positive. I agree with this statement so far, Karth, Nev. I don't know how much you're doing, JC, but it seems like they addressed the squish. That hasn't been mentioned, says DFE. I agree. The squish seems to be pretty good now. I'm not getting crushed for going 7-2 and not being able to having to climb back into Kyber 1 now. Karth will be happy to know that I am Kyber 1. Even though I lost some points. It was only like 30 points or something, and some people are gaining points. I think this new system's working a little bit better than the previous one.
It's not as punishing. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like all of Kyber 1's not getting hit hard. Kyber 1 seems to have its own scaling. So the closer you are to the threshold, the less points you lose, and the higher away you are, the more you lose, which is fine because at the certain end of it, you're not gonna get players that are gonna reasonably like let's say you have a 9-0 week at the top 8. Like let's say you are able to go 9-0. You are going to be hundreds of points ahead of your competition by the end of that week.
Yeah.
Or that season. It's like if you don't lose a few hundred points at the end of that, it's going to take like an 0-9 like record to get you back under. Like it's going to be pretty nutty. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Nathan H, I still have to keep winning. So I think that's, yeah. Speaking of Kyber 1 and GC, I have my first negative, and this is a big one. We've reached a breaking point with Datacron. This is outrage. This is getting stupid. It's getting ridiculous levels of stupid. And I don't want to hear the arguments for Datacrons. They're just going to go in one ear out the other. I've had enough experience with it. Both of us have at top level. Arth even at a higher level. Sitting there watching Heinze last night with these just ridiculous mobs. 300% health still. They get stacking defense. I ran into it last night with Leia. It is really wearing the player base out. Now, if you're at lower levels, you don't see it. And this is not so much for lower levels of mid-tier. If you do see it, you kind of get a sense that Datacrons are just, they're a complete ass. CG, you missed. but you won't admit that you missed because you think you know better. You don't know better. Karth, you know how I know that they don't know better? Nev, Karth, you know how I know they don't know better? Because they don't own accounts at bigger levels to test this stuff. And that's the thing that drives me crazy. You just throw shit on the board because you think you know, and you don't know. You don't have a clue of what you're doing in GAC. Fact. It is not arguable anymore. I'm sitting there watching Heinze last night with just struggling, and a lot of players are struggling because Datacrons completely changed in a very negative way the experience in GAC. Threes especially, in my opinion. Because some of these characters get way too overly powerful, and you just can't get around some of them with the teams and stuff. And they got to go. Either you got to do two things. And I'm warning you, CG. This is a warning. You're going to start losing more players and content creators if you don't pull your head out of your asshole and start getting with the program. I'm just warning you that if you don't very quickly, we're past the point where you need to do something about Datacrons. All right. If you think it's making you money, great. Short-term benefits. For long-term, you lose all your players because they are. I disagree with you, Go Cubs. There's no theory crafting for what? They have 5% stacking defense or 300% defense and stuff. And if you don't have the right Datacron, what are you going to theory craft? You go in there and you get your ass handed to you. And I don't want to hear they're not going away. I'm going to start making the push to get them out of here. If not, tone this shit down.
It creates an uneven. I said this when I originally put them on notice that they create an uneven playing field deliberately, an uneven playing field. Yes, sure. No two accounts are the same. And you've got to deal with mods, but having to deal with the extra stats is just too much. It was too much for me, and
it's honestly like it's upsetting. With it's when they do stuff on a Datacron set that compounds into being just nonsensical.
Yes.
Right. But the thing is though, we've had that with too many back-to-back Datacrons. Set 9 had the 15% health and protection per light side, dark side ally, plus defensive stats on top of that. Set 10, we went the other way. We went but heavy offense, crazy amounts of damage from your Jedi teams and things like that because of everything that they put in there, which helped counteract set 9 and helped us tolerate set 11, which went back to the same bullshit that was in set 9. You have teams that get tons of defensive stats plus 3, 6, and 9s that also give tons of defensive viability to certain characters. And so with the Jedicrons, it was tolerable. But now we're in a set 12, where set 12 went absolutely the other direction on stats. It takes all 6 rolls to get maybe 100% armor pen, where in set 10, one roll at tier 7 or 8 would get you there, or could get you really close. So it's like you have no depth on your Datacron now. So that's why it's so exasperated going from set 10 to set 12, is because there's the massive swing in power levels. Is the current Datacron sets are like, well, yeah, and these Datacrons are really powerful, mostly for 5v5, but they don't really counteract what set 11 brought to the table. So if they want to move down to powering down the stats and they keep the trend of what they did in set 12 going, then I'm not going to be as upset. But if they come back and like the next set's like, well, we wanted Bo-Katan to be really powerful, so we're going to give her, we're going to put defense back on the Datacrons, and we're going to put a ton of health stat gaining. It's like, then it's no fun. It's 100% comes down to how much do you throw at the wall to get 30 Datacrons.
Yeah. It's asinine, man. And now again, different experience for players at different levels. Like if you're not facing Datacrons, you don't know what we're talking about, right? Jack Daniel says Datacrons 11 packs what, a couple dozen players? How about thousands? Kyber 1, Kyber 2. It has the big impact. So it gets less and less as you go down, so nobody really gives a shit. But it's your upper tiers, people that spend money. And if they're sick of it, then they're not spending money. And you guys that don't, yeah. Go Cubs says Datacrons are not the issue. Yes, they are. It takes effort to learn and farm them. Not really. What does it really matter? You'll end up 5-4 Gs overall either way. That's not true. I ended up 6-3, 7-2 last couple 3v3s. It's not that. It's the ridiculousness of them. And it's not just my experience, it's the players that are facing me because I've got the Datacrons. And go check out Go Cubs and the boys, the JC Labs over on Twitch. They really do good stuff. But there's no theory crafting with some of these GLs, with these stacking defense, with Ray. there's no theory crafting.
It's how much did you spend re-rolling that cron?
And if it's got the right stats and you get them, I mean, I'm sorry. I watched Heinze last night, who's got an incredible account. Could not get through Ray, Ben, and Cal. He went in there with JMK, got smoked. Went through with another one, got smoked. And she just kept stacking defense. He couldn't kill her. Right? It's the same thing with some of these crons. That's not true, Go Cubs. Get the hell out of here. You're using the wrong counter. I used Jabba against that, and I almost lost with Jabba with the Bosch cron against the GL Ray cron. I'm sorry, Cubs. That's wrong. I mean, Heinze, you can say a lot of stuff where he's a Muppet, but he went in there with the right team and the right thing. He was trying to kill Ben, but he didn't get the right RNG, and his team got obliterated. You know, the problem with the Datacrons, the GLs are too overpowered. And if you don't have the right cron to counter it, I don't care what you have or what counter you use, you're not beating it. End of discussion. And it's too much. They're temporary. You got to spend all this time and investment to get them. Then you put them on, and then you have to spend 2 or 3 hours trying to figure out what's the Datacron and what you can do. You know, and only certain teams match up against certain teams. So you have to figure out, like, what can you use against what? And if you don't have it, what the hell do you do then? Right? In the normal ways, you know, against Ray in 3v3s, I'd go Starkiller, right? Or some other team, right? Get it out of there. Easy. You know, just use the counter that I know. But Datacrons completely change that, and it narrows what you can use. He faced a Saw team last night that was unbeatable because it had the cron and all the stats on it. He can't use a GL to clear that team. And even with the teams that he was using, he tried everything. Night Sisters, these all Relic 8 and 9, everything. Could not kill the Saw team with Rex. It was absolutely... Well, yeah, but I'm using my Malicos for my Bosch Leia counter. And that one's scary as hell too, man. Because I lost Malicos last night. Luckily, I was able to finish it off with... SLKR and crew, but it's horrible. I faced that Ray counter, went in there with Jabba, knocked out my Bosch. I had Ray left over. You know, it's like, Jesus Christ, these things are just, ugh. I mean, you can go on SWGOH.gg and see the counter, but it's not 100%. And some of these other ones are really rough. And if you don't have the right team with the right cron, you pray. That's the way to look at it. Now, if you,
right.
you have to pray. You know, you have to think, God, I hope I get the right RNG. And this happens because I can't get through this. It's really, really bad. So, you know, and it's frustrating. And if you like them Cubs and you think it's grafting, great. You're going to have a very shrinking community that is going to be doing this, especially on the top end and players who spend. I talk to them all the time. Carr talks to them all the time. They're fed up.
Well, it's just frustrating because it's like you get into like the last round of 5v5. I lost a match because the fact that he had re-rolled a cron to get like 400% defense plus the stacking level 6 on Ray, and so I didn't kill Ray in time for that to win. And so the drop battle there lost me the GAC, which it's fine. That's what happens. But it's just the sometimes the stat compounding I don't think gets looked at very well. They look at, you know, well, that's going to be a useful ability for this team to have, and then don't quite understand how that's going to get abused in other places. So they're like, oh, we're going to give stacking defense to the Seer team because that'll be fun, you know. But it's on a GL, so there are ways you can work around that. Versus, you know, giving stacking defense to Ray, and then you're in for a world of hurt because you just can't kill the bitch.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it would be one thing, Cubs, if you and I were in there and we were handling, Karth, we were telling CG, hey, this is what we're seeing, let's tone this down, do all this stuff. It seems like they just keep doubling down on this shit, and it's getting really out of hand. I'm just warning you, CG, you are at a tipping point. It's really bad out there. People invest in Datacrons not because they like them, because they have no choice. That's truth. There might be some that like it, but most do it because they have to, because they're in a guild that requires it for TW and for JC. But you can see the participation in 3v3. It goes way down from 5v5, and even participation in 5v5 is less than it was, because people are just like, I'll go in, I'll do one battle, and then I'm done. Why would I even mess with this? What's the point? You know what I'm saying?
3v3 was not popular before Datacrons. Ranger, when we reported on GA Center,
yeah,
the drop off between 5v5 and 3v3, the drop off to 3v3 was huge. It always was.
Yeah.
I counted it once an entire season. There were more no-show. Our competitors, the people we covered, faced more no-shows in 3v3 than they did in 5v5.
Easily.
Yeah.
So if you like Datacrons, God bless you. They got to be either toned down dramatically, and I don't want CG handling this. Get some experts in there that play the game. Get their input on this. Fix it, because you are basically wearing out players that are like, what's the point of me working, spending, and doing all this stuff when I have to deal with temporary crap that comes in, blows all my shit up, and I can't win, not because I didn't pick the right counter or the right team, because I didn't have the right specific Datacron, and the RNG with the Datacron was so awful that I just can't win. I don't mind losing. If someone's got a bigger account and stuff, I don't mind losing.
It's like if you want to watch somebody go on tilt, watch somebody lose Profundity versus Executor Triple Attacker because they got no assists.
Right.
Like it's shit like that where it's just that's a frustrating mechanic to play around, because it has nothing to do with what you were capable of doing or your understanding of the game and the kits and everything else. It all came down to, well, RNG said no. And there you have it. That's exactly what you're going to have to deal with for the rest of your time there. And so, I mean, it's like, I like the 3, 6, and 9s that come with Datacrons. I like the theory crafting that comes around with having these unique things to work with and play with. And that part I enjoy. But it's the stats on them that get really nutty, because it's like, if you're not willing to invest into it, then you're going to have a really hard time
competing,
getting your shit together, because you're just not going to have fun.
It exacerbates the stats when something has 300% defense, and then you get stacking defense on top of that. That is really tough to face. I don't care what counter you have, right? It's always a crapshoot, and if you lose a GL battle that goes wrong, you're in trouble.
In 3v3, yeah,
especially 3v3.
3v3 is nightmarish to lose a counter on, because it just hits the board so hard.
Yeah, I mean, you have one shot at it sometimes, and then now if you're lucky, you took out some of the stuff, you can clean it up, and even then, like, if I lose versus Lord Invader with JML, okay, but I can clean that up with bounty hunters. I'm okay with that. But the Ray one, holy God, she's horrible. Especially with Ben in there, it's really tough to face that team with the mechanics that it already has. And then you throw Datacrons with that kind of stacking defense and shit like that. God, and it's ridiculous. So, all right, let's move on to, I'm going to do another positive before I do another negative. I got to stay the, not so much the raids. We've talked about the raids and what we think of the raids. But the Raid store, man, what a great store, dude. I really like what they did with the Raid store.
There was a good economy change.
Yeah.
Very helpful, very well thought out, very good. I mean, honestly, this is like a point I've been hammering on for a while now. They have made like raids the best ROI in the game, right? There's no way you can argue that. You do raids, you get good things. And so it's like, all right, if that's how this is going to work, it makes the most sense in the game right now to put all your effort into gearing up your raid teams and ignoring almost everything else.
Pretty
Because
much.
like
Well,
because like
TV,
and
but,
well, yeah, not TV,
but they kind of tie
but
together, right? So
they do a little bit. But here's the thing: if you were to invest your roster and focus into the raids and get to one of the higher boxes, the 424, the 665, you're going to get more rewards out of that because you run that raid 5 times a month. Then you're going to get out of winning 1 or 2 more GACs a month. You know, the crystals, yeah, that's the only thing that the GACs got over the raid, but the crystal value in the raid is much higher, right?
Yeah.
So it's the currencies you're dealing with. And so it's like, why would you bother? Like they are heavily disincentivizing players from taking GAC seriously, besides those that really want to, because you can just fall into the low end of Kyber 2, where most players have 1 to 2 level 9 Datacrons, and then just start going 5 and 4, intentionally tank battles and just get your win rate, because you're only losing a few crystals out of what you would be getting max, right? Because I think Kyber 2 is 825 for a pass at
versus
870.
900, yeah.
900, yeah. So it's like you're losing 75 crystals a win. So it's like, all right, so it's a couple hundred crystals a month that you're losing. Like who cares? You know, to keep your sanity and your roster intact, like what does it matter if where you're competing in GAC? Just go to somewhere where it's more comfortable for you to play. And so that's kind of the thing is like, but it sucks to be an account like, you know, our size where it's like, well, fuck this, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna go play in the shallow end of the pool. You know, that's gonna get a little nutty.
Yeah.
But you know, for other players, it's kind of the idea, you know, set aside being good at everything in GAC and do your raid stuff, because you're gonna get, if you get into a guild that's getting those crates, you're gonna just perform better. You're gonna get more rewards. You're gonna get more out of the game. You're gonna do better. So it's like I don't even care. I'm just like, I don't see a point in putting in the effort into the GAC as much anymore. I like to be competitive, but the ROI is getting really shitty.
Yeah. And the other thing I like that they did with the raid is that you have the full carblage of picking what gear you need. And I really like that. You know, we weren't,
that's huge.
That's a huge improvement that CG did with the gear, is that not only is all that gear 12 and other pieces in there, and you get the rewards and you work your way up to get better rewards in the race and get more gear, but you can pick what you want to focus in on, like what specific gear on characters that you need. I really like that aspect. You know, I think that was really smart on them. So positive, raid reward. I think that they have been really good. Negative will be raids, but I think we've beat that dead horse to death. So
I mean, it's literally just the speeder bike raid, and it's not that the speeder bike raid is bad. There are a lot of positives with the speeder bike raid,
yes,
but it is, the interest is so goddamn low. It's just like, who cares? Like, I just can't be asked to put in a ton of effort. Now I'm still doing it because we need to hit certain thresholds, and so
yeah, I'm totally committed to it, but on auto. I already told Karth, I mean, I'm about to take Air to 8. I'm like, right. 2 million average on 4 teams. I'm at 8 million, and I'll get the other teams up as well and characters so I can get higher scores over 10 million. But I'm not going to commit to actually going in, remodding, doing all that stuff, because it's like, I'm not sitting at the screen for that long on that kind of raid where it's just like push buttons and that's it. It's like, Christ, you know, and people getting motion sickness. Yeah, it's just a lot of stuff there. But I got to say, the raid rewards are very positive. I think we can all agree on that. Negative, all the goddamn bugs. Holy shit.
Been interesting the last little bit there.
My God. 4 releases and bugs, man. We have had nothing. It is such a meme. Arth and Nev, you can jump on this too, because I'm sure you're aware of this. The bugs are insane. Every release, minus Jedi Cal. I think there was something with what's her butt? Marin that had a problem, but it was something unrelated to the event. So there was a problem with her, but Kit's bugged. Now it worked out. We had the Leviathan thing happen. Oh my God, that was so bad. We had
Leviathan
the
was just
Leia thing happen. We've
yeah.
had all kinds of stuff happen that it's just been break after break. We had the conquest bug. We've had all kinds of bugs, and I don't know why it's happening. I'm not a software guy, so I can't even begin to understand the spaghetti code and stuff like that, but it consistently happens over and over and again where it's a meme now in the community like,
Yeah,
what's going to be
it really
broken?
is.
That's what the meme is. What's going to be broken this time for the release? We're actually shocked when we don't have something broken now in the game. And that's not good. I don't know. Nev, Karth, I don't know. I think that's bad. When you go to play the game, you make the investment and stuff and shit doesn't work and it's not properly tested. I don't know. It's just something in my brain, the way I think and stuff.
Is that is that occurring on mobile devices, or is that occurring on
Everywhere.
people
Oh, it
using
had nothing to
emulators
do.
on
Yeah,
the
this.
PC?
Well,
Yeah,
there's Windows issues, but yeah.
It was code issues that were the majority of the bugs. There were a couple software ones, but most of it was with them.
New releases and stuff.
The big thing with the state of that stuff is like my Christmas list for CG is, please, for the love of God, reopen your beta program. Like, take the risk on somebody leaking your bullshit. Because you can't keep pushing shit out this way and then having players just get absolutely miffed by the experience, you know? It's like, what are you gonna do? You lose all this stuff because I mean, like, a lot of people took Leia to Relic 9 and spent, thousands of tickets trying to get through that tier 4 when it was still bugged, because they didn't know why they were losing.
Yeah.
And so it was like, and which, I mean, that one, yeah, I know they couldn't have predicted that because it was working differently on their build, but it's just other things like that. Like the Leviathan testing was so dog shit because it's like they released this thing that gets immediately beat by the profundity for 77, which, okay, Leviathan's an offensive capital ship. And then when they fix all the bugs, they're like, well, we're not going to test it with the bugs fixed. We're going to patch it and make it better. And then all of a sudden now the Leviathan's just a defensive nightmare to work around. It's got its counters. They do work. I'm with you. But it's still a pain in the ass because even the proper counters can still go awry because you don't land a critical hit or the AI decides to be weird and reinforces it differently, or there's a variety of issues with that take place, and so it's very challenging to continue to want to play that when it's just like you keep getting punched in the dick every time.
It's frustrating. It's just
experience it.
Poor planning, poor execution, the bugs. It's just you can't go back and fix an experience, right? You just can't. If someone has a bad experience and they keep having a bad experience with your product, how long do you want them to stick around? You can do a make good, but that's just putting a band-aid on the crap that they just went through. It doesn't make them feel better. It doesn't change the experience they just had. And people don't get make goods from what they just went through and go, oh, well, that makes it all better. It's nice, but they still had that bad experience and it leaves that bad taste in their mouth.
Well, that was the thing that I said a while back. Is like they need to get way more way more generous on make goods to the community, because if you're not gonna allow for people to come in and test your game and you're only doing what your testing is going to be and you're not using other people and crowdsourcing some of it, then you're gonna have to make the mistakes palatable, and sometimes that's just by heaping sugar on the shit show. And I don't love the approach. I don't want that to be the blanket to be like, well, it'll be okay because we'll fix it later. I'm like, that's the mentality that the AAA game developers have now that just is ruining their industry of, well, we'll just release it unfinished and then we'll patch it back later and fix it. And it's like, that's not something that people want to stick around for. So it's like, you need to make the make goods better for when mistakes do happen, but you also got to do more to make sure that your mistakes happen less frequently, especially around big events. A Datacron being bugged, not the end of the world.
No,
I get you, You know, the Nisa one was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
The bug on it that was really kind of dumb. But you know, I get it. But like, you know, having bugs on other things for, you know,
the Jabba bug after it had been
Jabba,
released, it was like, what the hell is this?
well, like the what the hell was it? It was the Jedi Anakin bug for unending loyalty that was there for like 2 years, and they only fixed it because they released the Executor.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nev.
No, I was just going to say that, you know, one of the good things that happened this year, maybe not specifically to SWGOH, it might have had some influence on SWGOH, was obviously EA's 10-year exclusivity deal.
Oh yeah,
with Disney ended. So it's not EA deciding what does and does not happen in a game anymore. It's LucasArts.
It's Disney.
It's Disney.
So I mean, yes, it's still obviously it's yes, it is
my
still,
nuts now.
It's still Disney. But I'm just what you know. Were any decisions made like after the summer, after May, that you could have thought, hang on a minute, what's going on? Didn't the Lightning bundles come out after the exclusivity deal kicked in? Sorry, disappeared.
I mean, that's a hard one to write as the correlation is a cause of one to the other. But I mean, I get you. It's nice to have that change because now there's more pressure on them to perform because there's going to be more competitive. Like EA is going to want more competitive features into the game because they want to make sure that you know, players are still
exactly. I mean,
their product.
They don't want all the SWGOH players buggering off to. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I can't see it happening. I don't think it's going to happen. But the last thing EA needs is everybody buggering off from SWGOH to Star Wars Hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so Lightning bundles is kind of like it's almost like they're pre-prepping. It's like EA's probably thinking, all right, okay, there's a new game coming out. It's a mobile one. We don't want people disappearing to it. So why don't we, you know, do all of these packs on the cheap?
I mean, it's just still
and get people financially invested in the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
But get people, get people financially invested in the game. And then, you know, they don't move over to other games, which is great for the new player coming to the game.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant. I mean, it's incredible value, and it's great, and it gives them brilliant accounts. But you know, it just kind of makes the older ones feel a bit bad. The older players, and like you said, Karthik, that you know they're just hammering the Datacrons at the moment, which kind of upsets the whales and the top end of the community. But what EA's thinking at the moment is they need to grow the bottom end.
So they got to get buy-in. That's the thing is statistically for a mobile game, the lifespan of the average player is 5 years. So we're in year 7. So we are seeing
8.
Well, yeah, year 8. Yeah, we are seeing the progressive downturn of top end players giving up and doing other things. And what you see a lot happen is these top end accounts continue moving forward because somebody who is a 6 million GP count goes, it would take me 50 grand to whale my way to that account.
Mm-hmm.
So I will spend 1,500 and just buy it, and then I'll just play at that level. And so it's like, that's what you're seeing people do naturally. So it's like, it makes a ton of sense for them to capitalize on that and go, well, we really don't, it's against our TOS for you guys to be buying accounts. So what we prefer you to do is if we give you high value packs as a way to kind of help get your interest, and then you just keep playing that account because that account has a lot more potential for people to spend because there's just a lot more to do versus buying up an account that's already at 13 million GP. So.
All right, we got a question from Carl. Question: what is the kill order for fighting Afra, 000, and BT1 and 3v3? I've hardly ever
Afra first.
Yeah, you just go all in on Afra. Something like CLS, Han, Chewie. What are the other counters? I don't have it in front of me right now. That Datacron makes it really nasty if it's on there, though. You've got to get her out immediately. If you don't, you're going to die horribly.
Good luck.
So you need Han, CLS, and Chewie works decently well, but you've got to have them modded to really put out that damage. You need armor pen so you can really get in there and take her out immediately. What would be some other teams you would say?
It's hard for me to say because my head goes to like you need it because with her just natural kit, she gets 100% turn meter, so like you have to have a way to get around that.
Yeah.
And so like that becomes kind of the challenge when you're dealing with her in a nutshell. So it's like you need to outrun, and with her current Datacron, there's just no way to endure
No.
it. Like I don't give a shit what you try to do. You're not
Yeah, dash on
enduring.
Chewie. Yeah.
Dash on Chewie with a good amount of armor pen is going to should get through that. And typically what you want to do is just prevent BT1 from ever moving. So a lot of what people will do is if they don't kill Afra outright, but she's stunned in the beginning, then they'll use like the stun from either Han or Chewie to
Get
lock down
BT1.
BT1, and
Yeah.
then you clean up Afra and go from there. But you just have to be careful about it because with the Datacron that they take if they take a turn, then she takes a turn. So she's gonna pop out of those.
And if they got the turn meter on there, oh god.
Yeah, it gets nutty really fast.
It gets really, really not creamy. So, all right, another positive for Capital Games this year, I got to say, the quality of life changes. We had ship loadouts. We also got the turn meter order, which I think has been fantastic. So I will give them a thumbs up on that. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I think everybody can agree that those quality of life changes were really good. Let's give another negative one. Nev, Karth, I've been saying a lot. Any negatives you want to hit on?
I mean, Car's probably got more.
Karth does know many things like I do, for he is wise and powerful. Too powerful, some say.
I mean, it's just because of the experience and where I play at. It's just I'm at a particular
You have a particular set of
position
skills
where you do meet certain rubs
Yeah.
As to what is going on and what's happening. So
Well, give me your thoughts there, Karth.
oh, that's what I'm trying to muddle my brain for at the moment.
Just say Conquest.
I mean, I don't mind Conquest.
There's certain parts of Conquest is kind of both good and bad for me, right?
Yeah.
Some of the fights and stuff in Conquest are fun. I'll be the first to admit that, but the other part of it's so goddamn
the
lazy.
massive like repetitiveness of some of the feats is what I think kills it for a lot of players.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I wouldn't mind doing a lot of like the kill multiple like win multiple fights with multiple teams approach to things if they also had in the same stride factions that you could form multiple teams with. Like if it's 40 kills with Hut Cartel, sure, you could in theory put together 2 Hut Cartel teams.
You're not.
One of them's not going to do much of anything.
No.
And so it's one of those things where it's like I get where they're coming from, but it doesn't make sense to me to do it that way. So I would be a bigger fan of doing stuff that allows for more roster depth to make them easier so that the bigger accounts don't have to just beat their heads against the wall. And then I just hate the concept they push out of every time they do something. They're like, well, let's just make sure the newest shit's as part of the requirements. And I'm like, I get where you're coming from on that because it drives players to engage with it further, but I think it's just a really lazy way to drive engagement.
Yeah, engagement should be something I want to engage in because I enjoy it and the experience is fun, not because I'm forced to because I have to log in every day and just sit there and grind. When I'm grinding on grinding for something,
jokes.
Oh, yes. When I'm doing my grind, babe. It's because I want to, right? Like, give you an example, World of Warcraft, I needed materials. So I'd go out for an hour or two a day and go grind materials because I was something I was working toward, but I had the option. It was me making that choice. It wasn't the game forcing me to make that choice. And there's a big difference in that. So yeah, Conquest, the rewards have gotten better. I think the treasure nodes were a great addition.
The simming on the treasure nodes
even a
was
better
great
addition. Yes.
Yeah, that was a huge quality of life improvement for a lot of players.
But yeah, these grindy feats and some of these feats, if you don't have the newer stuff, players feel like if I don't spend, I can't keep doing the red crate or doing what I need to do. And I'm not even getting the gold crate. It's really tough for some people because it's like I have a lot of these. I've got 5 or 6 GLs. I just don't have the newer shinies, and I can't do these feats to even get gold crates. Like, yeah. So what's the incentive? You know, we always talk about in this game that what's the most valuable thing to players? Time that they spend in the game, but the quality of time that they spend in the game. If I'm not having fun, if I'm just grinding because I have to, not because I want to, that's not an enjoyable experience. And again, we get back to the experience thing with this game. There are certain times where you're trying to figure out the boss fights, like, hey, this is kind of cool. Let me figure this out. Then there's times you're like, if I have to do one more goddamn battle with the Ewoks and Kanisa, I'm going to throw something. You know?
Well, and that was the thing is like, I think they intentionally made it that much of a pain in the ass because it was to incentivize purchasing the Conquest Plus Pass, right?
Right.
Because where they basically give away 30 of the burritos if you buy the Conquest Plus. And it's just like, okay, I see what you're doing, but it's still kind of shitty of you.
Yeah.
Like if you want to sell red crate, just do it.
Yeah.
Like just put a price tag on it and I'll let you, and the player base will decide if it's worth the money. Like they're not far from being able to buy, like, you know, for $5 you can unlock the first crate, and for $100 you can unlock red crate. You know.
Yeah. But it's the time sink, and that's why we've talked about it. Players paying other players to do their conquest.
Yeah.
They don't have the time, and we're talking Krakens. They're like, I don't have time for this. You know, I like the game and I like playing the game, but I don't like sitting there for 40 minutes a day on average doing this game mode. You know, knocking out all the feats and stuff. Or if not, then having to spend an exorbitant amount of crystals to get ahead of it.
A lot of it can be simmed once you get your like a decent Datacron setup put together, right? Like that's a pro for a lot of it, is you can just get through it. But like at that point, that's not engagement into your content. That's just people playing because you're making them do it, not because they want to. It's like it's kind of what I missed about the before, like the land before Datacrons. Conquest you could finish in 4 to 7 days. And then you were done with it. You had to keep going back. Now, granted, the addition of simming the treasure nodes has made farming Datacron materials more palatable, because once you've maxed out your red crate or whatever crate you're going for, all you do is show up for 30 seconds and sim your treasure nodes to as high as you want to go, which is completely fine. But they keep saying they want to cut back player time in the game, and they keep adding features that force you to play more.
I don't believe that. I think that statement's false from them, because I think that's one of their big driving
I think it's just no longer true.
Yeah.
I think that that's no longer the war drum they're beating on, that they want to keep driving engagement, and engagement is driven by time spent playing the game, so they want to get everyone playing the game, which is kind of like why I'm low-key okay with the speeder bike raid, because its time engagement is far lower than the Crate Dragon raid was, but I just am super bored by the fact that I'm fighting speeder bikes on the Forest Moon of Endor and not, like an ATST or, fighting, like, why can't we fight waves of the bunker with our rebel team and then counterattack with the Empire faction and then I don't know, space battle or the Death Star? Like, I don't care.
More.
Give me something interesting to stare at besides a moving background and speeder bikes. Like that's all.
I was way off on my Return of the Jedi Anniversary raid prediction. I thought
we all were
split it between ground and
we were all excited.
Ships.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, when they were dropping hints at Red 5,
that would be the raid reward.
12, that would be. So I'm thinking to myself, yep, that kind of makes sense. Return of the Jedi. It's going to be a raid somewhere along those lines, and a Red 5 and an orange jumpsuit Luke would be like the perfect reward. I
was going to Tashi Station there to pick up some power converters.
Mm-hmm.
All
right. was not expecting what we got.
Maximus question: do you guys feel because of the grind of conquest they should increase the reward?
The what?
Increase the rewards for grind quests, since it says
The
that.
grind of.
Do you guys feel because of the grind of conquest they should increase the reward?
I mean,
I think
so
the
the
rewards
thing,
are fine, actually.
the thing that would easily solve that problem is if they allowed the treasure node, not the treasure nodes, the Jawa scavenger nodes to refresh. Not the ones that offer shard. Well, that was the thing. They'd have to separate them because you wouldn't want someone to be able to buy, 70 shards of the new conquest character immediately. But if they made things refresh where you could buy, like, use your currency to buy more of the cheaper stuff to kind of help your gears along, or single data, I think that would be more palatable for the player base to work with. It's just the return on investment for conquest is pretty low. All the reward is the character, right? And so if you don't want to invest in that, which a lot of people don't, because it's sometimes just a real pain in the dick to do it, there's no incentive to participate in what's happening there. And so I think if you want more players to participate, they need to do things like they're doing with Zepho and TB. They added a planet where it's like, well, we didn't really want to just add 3 stars. We added gear and some get currency to it. But the thing of it is, though, is if you can get two stars, I know that's not how they use Zepho, but if you get 2 stars on Zepho, you're getting as much Chirotech from that planet as you would have been from the entire TB. And so it's like, it's doubling up what you're getting. We're going to finish this TB with basically getting a full Cairo of each 50-50, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a big improvement for a lot of people. And so, like, I think more things like that is where they need to head. They need to head to the direction of, we need just to have more like lower hanging fruits to help ease those crunches that are currently in the game. Like, why don't we have any other way to farm heal data? Like, come on, let's get our shit together. Let's do an event for it. Like, why does the Leia tier suck so bad compared to Jabba the Hutt?
Right.
It's like they add these things into the game, but they never address the problem that players are facing, which is basically like the 2 big crunches in the player base. I think is going to be Kairos and Seal Data. So it's like, why don't we do more to address those particular areas to make players feel like when they invest in something that rewards that, they're getting a good return on it? And everything else they do right now is just like, well, we gave you stuff. It's like the slap in the face with the raid currency. How expensive the raid currency is to buy Kairos is astronomically insane.
And signal data too. Like, you look at the change rate for raid currency for signal data, is like, what? Or wait, I need to take relics and I get 10 for how many?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to another question here.
You give.
No.
You
You'll
give
buy
to
me.
fish. Yeah.
Nathan H. question: what huge mobile game have you played that isn't filled with bugs? Every game has bugs. I don't care what it is, right? I don't have a problem with bugs. And you see it more prevalent in live interaction games, whether it be an MMORPG, RPGs that are online, live service games. You see this more often. But I'll give you an example of like games that have bugs. Not so much mobile games. I've played some mobile games, not at different games online. They've had their bugs. What I look for is 2 things: how quickly and how you fix when something goes wrong, and 2, do you keep repeating the same mistake over and over? Prime example, and this is an MMORPG, but if you look at World of Warcraft, it has bugs. But why is the player base there still so, and it's dropped off, but that's just because the game is so old. But why do you see WoW have a certain level of stuff? Now, you may not like the game modes and stuff that they create or stuff like that. That's different, but just bugs, right? How do they handle that? WoW does a great job of that. But if you look at Star Wars: The Old Republic, We played it recently, Carth. God almighty, the same bugs that were in there still exist. It's like, Jesus Christ. It was unplayable, you know? And, you know.
Well, they've given up maintaining their early like 1 to 50 experience because they that's not where the majority of the players are. You can skip that grind.
Yeah.
Just so effortlessly 99% of the time. I think the only thing that they cared about in the 1 to 50 experience is the unique storyline missions. They're the only ones they go back and like really work on now if there's a bug. Everything else is kind of just like, meh,
Yeah, it's a
whatever.
mission. I know you're grinding, but tough titty.
Yeah, so it's like it is what it is, I suppose. So it's the problem with the games of that size. You're always going to run into it, but it's the how quickly it's addressed and feeling like it is the number one thing. You want a happy gaming community, make them feel heard.
Yeah.
Make them feel like
Be
they have
proactive.
lines of communication with the developers. They will respond to that. Now, granted, some people are assholes and they're going to just be
There's always
belligerent little
assholes, yeah.
shits. But you know, all right, you're going to be a community manager. I hope you have a little bit thicker skin than, you know, getting upset by being called names online. But, you know, it's like willing to wait out there and do some of that stuff. And that's kind of like, you know, I think Meathead's improved on that as he's gone out
Yes.
throughout this year of
I would
joining.
agree.
Is he's a lot better at interacting and you know, I think once he cut out teasing the red 5 stuff, even though like I think that drove the player base absolutely sideways. But just things of that nature, like, you know, it's just like if you want players to engage and feel like they're being a part of the game, they need to be heard. And it just feels like so often the answer is we're investigating and then nothing is done about it, right? Like they were investigating the profundity and the chimera counters to Leviathan. Well, they've stopped the profundity counter, but we never heard anything back on what their final conclusion was on the chimera counter, right? And so like we get this, like we still haven't heard back what they were going to do with the TIE Echelon for his performance against the Executor. Like it's things like that where they just kind of leave it in the wind. Like, and the assumption for the player base is they're never going to touch it. But the reality is that they could just be like, well, we'll touch it once it impacts something else that we don't want it to impact. So it's like when, like, let's say the next capital ship comes out, which should be a light side capital ship. And the what is that name of that? The finalizer. The finalizer beats it. Then they'll fix it. Like, and that's just kind of the thing where I hate that they do that. It's just like, well, we didn't address a bug or say that it was something that we were going to take care of at a later date, so that players start investing into it because of that counter works. And then a month after it releases, you're like, oh, we don't like this anymore, so now we're going to patch it. It's like, okay, well, you just ruined like the investment people just did to these characters and the ship because you didn't communicate what your intentions were.
Yeah.
And so it's like, at least like they got a little bit on that with like C-3PO's bug in the raid. They were a little bit more on the money with like, hey, we're gonna look at that. Should probably not do any upgrades. But then how they announced the fix was so childish.
Well, it was this.
It was like we put it in the bottom of the bug report features.
Like, oh, there it is.
And didn't bring any special notice to it. It's like,
big deal.
What the hell are we doing? Like, it's not that hard to be like, by the way, we don't like the fact that he retreats from this raid. It was an oversight on our behalf.
Yeah.
Our bad. But we are going to remove his ability to do that. That's fine. Come out and just present it like that. You're going to get blowback no matter which way you do it, but just be straightforward about it. Don't try to hide it in the paperwork. It's just like, that's the kind of stuff that drives me nutty with communication. But yeah.
Well, here's a good one.
Rant over.
Yes. What else in 3? They have improved at banner cheaters. This is a big plus this year. I agree, man. I love watching the tiers in the forums. I don't know if you've been in the forums, Garth, and read those posts. Oh, it's so good. I was banned. Funny. I don't understand. Why is this happening? And then they all people jump in. It's like, because you're a goddamn cheater. Here are all the examples of you cheating, dumbass. You dummy. It's like Yes, if you cheat, they're really getting better at catching you and banning you. And I just love the salty tears. They're so delicious reading those forum
Well, that's
posts.
what the update that the title update that came out this week was for. Was it was adding back-end software for account authorization.
Yeah.
So basically, what it's doing is if you try to access Galaxy of Heroes through a from a non Google Play client,
Yeah.
it will flag you as a cheater and you'll get banned. And it's not utilized yet, but that's the direction they're headed.
But yeah, I think that has been a big plus issue. I've just enjoyed seeing so many people come on the forums like, my account was banned, how to get it fixed. It doesn't, because you cheated, dummy. You know, it's like, and then they want to argue, and it's like, no, you don't go on this team and beat Ray and not lose any protection. What are you, stupid? You think they're dumb? You know,
that was like the guy who was trying to argue that his Gear 11 Night Sisters
could beat
Ray. Like, oh, she didn't have the unique Zeta.
What the hell's that got to do with anything?
And well, because she could be stunned. She's like, oh, I stun locked her, and I'm like, okay. So here's the thing: is that infographic that SWGOH.gg presents provides the information gathered at the time of the battle.
Yes.
So you arguing that, well, they upgraded the Zeta after lock-in and that's why it's there? No,
sorry.
No, I'm sorry. That's not how that works. Like,
this works out in front of you.
You're full of shit.
Then never after you can kick your ass. Nathaniel, some people are getting randomly banned though. Yes, and that sucks, but they are also getting unbanned immediately. Once they reach out, they've been pretty proactive about getting those unbanned, because there are circumstances where for whatever reason you get banned randomly for a reason or whatever. It's been an issue, but I've been seeing people saying, okay, my account got reinstated. Like, if you didn't cheat, you got nothing to worry about. If you got banned for some reason, hey, just reach out. They seem to be on top of getting you back in, right? But this other stuff, and I agree with you, what else in the three, they've really gone after the cheaters, which is what we wanted to see, right? You know, we got enough shit to deal with that we've already mentioned with Datacron stuff. We don't need people cheating to ruin the experience, right?
Or did you see the fun bug that happened to a few players this?
No, what happened?
So for some reason the game analytics decided to add ungodly improvement scores to players.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So somewhere the calculation was going. There was a guy who was 8 million GP who was in number 2 of Kyber 1. And everyone was like, oh, he's definitely cheating. And then you go back and look at his score. For whatever reason, between the seasons, he jumped like 500 points.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, oh, that's gonna be,
sir.
Yeah. So he's literally just gonna get his ass, because there's no way for them to fix it besides just artificially setting a score, which I don't know if they even want to try to do that. So it's like he's gonna go like on like a 0-18 heater to get back to like a reasonable. I was like, oh man, that sucks. So think of being that account, like top 8 4 GLs, like 20 plus 25 mods, facing like 13-14k Krakens, like million GP Krakens. Like, oh my god, I feel so bad for you.
Desi Jingle Snarfy says, I really want to know your opinion on how this might affect hot utils.
It's not going to.
Yeah, it's not going to affect hot utils. Hot utils just helps you put mods on and look up stats and all that other stuff.
Well,
it's not like an APK. It's not an APK hack or some of these other things that go in and manipulate, you know, this other shit is what they're looking out for. Go ahead, Karth.
Oh, so hot utils already came out and said that from everything that they can see right now, it doesn't look like it's going to impact it from what the backend information is. But he says that anytime anything would impact hot utils, the odds are that CG would reach out first if it was going to cause a problem.
Right.
Because anytime that they've implemented that kind of stuff, they've given them that heads up. He's like, but I don't see any reason why they would do that, because it's such an integral part of the game at this point that you should basically be like, well, you can play Galaxy of Heroes, but you're going to need to spend a $5 each month for hot utils access so that you can make this thing tolerable. And
people need that app though. You know,
Oh yeah.
if CG came around, yep, you're not having that anymore. People would be
Oh
like,
yeah.
well,
Would
then
be
I
done.
can't play. I can't play. I
They would
physically
be
cannot
done.
play your game. I'm done because I can't manage it with your in-game management system. I need, people need hot utils. They just do.
Well, you need to be able to screenshot your roster and reload it. Like if you're gonna move mods around for TB and TB and no to that TW and TB and the raid and everything else that you're doing and GAC, you got to be able to have baselines to re-equip and to move things around and save stuff besides just the way they currently do it. So if you took that away, I think a lot of the big players would just be like, nope, do the management. Like either they quit remodding for things, which is going to be a drastic downturn in performance, or they just quit because there's just no point.
Yeah. So, all right, let me get to some of these other statements here. Let's see here. I know Jedi Rolls had asked a question. He says, what are your top 5 characters that you would like to see come in 2024? Well, we're getting one of them. God dang. I'm selfish. I want True Revan. I want Darth Bane. If I had to pick a faction, I'd like to, 2 factions I'll throw out there. The Eternal Throne family, which I've said for a while would be a really cool faction to add. Or the Vong. Let's do it, CG. Let's bring in those organic genocidal maniacs into the game. DFE says, is Zana coming soon as well? No idea. We just know thing. So no word on her yet.
I mean, so the reality is that this next year is probably going to be themed around the Phantom Menace,
yeah.
or and not explicitly. I think
No.
they will pull from the original trilogy era, probably focusing more on episode 1 and 2, and not just trying to use episode 1 to draw from, because there is not just besides Gungans and maybe adding some of the Naboo characters to like a Padme team, there's just not a lot of other things that they could really do with that, because there's no real fleets to add. There's no real like hero units they can add for the Galactic Republic that aren't going to already be in the game, unless they want to do like, Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I mean I still would be okay with if they wanted to make that interesting. But that kind of stuff is where we're probably headed most of next year. We have to get a light side capital ship next year. My thought on that is that they do New Republic for the next capital ship, but that means we would have to have all brand new ships drop for that bitch. That sounds expensive. That sounds very expensive. So I don't know if that would be the direction they go. But I can't really see them doing back-to-back dark side. Everyone's like, oh, Admiral Trench. And I'm like, I'm with you. That's
Sure.
a possibility that he gets his ship, but that's a hard one to sell for me too.
Any characters you'd like to see, Nevosaurus?
I want to see more. I want to see more Legends events characters in that. So I'd love to see, because we've got the Emperor's Hand in the game. Mara J, they brought her in as the Emperor's Hand. I wouldn't mind seeing the Hand of Judgment.
I didn't tell you, Nev. I got Mara Jade as someone got me the Black Series figure for my birthday. It looks one.
She does. I bet she does. But yeah, no. So the Hand of Judgment was their former Imperial troop. They bearing in mind that Timothy Zahn wrote this book back in 2011, 2012. So he wrote this back in the noughties.
The original trilogy was 89-90, I believe. He started that process.
Yeah, but so you got that. So first he did Allegiance, then he did Choices of One. Great book, set after the set 5, about a few years after the destruction of the first Death Star. So great little story, great little book, some great characters in there, but it's got a group of rogue Imperial stormtroopers in there that just happen to go around doing good stuff. So I wouldn't mind those characters, I think, because they're pretty badass.
DFB, let's make Calvin happy and get Jar Jar. Listen, I'll put up with the Gungans and Jar Jar if I get True Revan. I won't care.
I mean, for me, I would like to see some KOTOR 2 characters show up.
Sure.
I kind of I kind of want to go back to that. Like give me Mitra Surik and
Yep.
Atten Rand and Barad-dûr and the
Baby
Disciple, the
Jesus.
Handmaiden. Make Atris a big character out of that to make her a raid for all I care. That could be interesting. Fighting her and the Handmaidens, that could be a fun little thing to do for a while. I would love to see something with that because it's the content I grew up on, so I have I have a soft spot for that kind of stuff. Give me actual Sith troopers from OG KOTOR 1 armor. That would be kind of nice at UCG to do because they're in the game. Just let me upgrade them and play them myself. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I would be most interested in. Outside of that, like I said before, I would love to see Padme get her own team again. I would love for them to incorporate the Gidme mechanics into a light side GR character, so that they can do that and get the protection up and have a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
With the team. And I would like that. I'm not opposed to having Gungans in the game as long as it's a full faction. I don't just want Jar Jar. I'd want to do a full Gungan team, like Boss Nass leadership, and then get like 3 or 4 Gungans from the shows and the movies put together. But outside of that, then it's just like, there's a lot of things I would wish for, but they just seem almost too far off the beaten path to ever be a thing.
All right, let's bring up another subject. Mods. It was brought out, I think, by What Else 93. Mod inventory space. I can't remember who it was in the chat. I have to go back and look, but someone brought it up. Ray Rock did. Okay, yeah, Ray Rock. Thank you. The stuff that you can do with mods now is really great. I like in Special Smugglers Run 2. Eventually, you get that. You get a lot of stuff, but on with all the stuff that they've done for mods to make it where you can get better stats and focus on the stats. It is random and it can be frustrating, but overall, I think what they've done for mods has been great. Problem is the negative side of that, they have not increased space and they've created a backlog because now when you get all these 5A mods that have double digit speed or certain stats that you want, you're not getting rid of them. But you can't work on them fast enough, even if you have them on all your characters and you're constantly looking to improve, and you cannot keep mods that are just sitting there. Even if you have them on most of your characters, you still have mods that you get constantly that rolling like, well, where the hell do I put this? And then you're having to make all these decisions, and we have a cap, and it makes it really difficult when you're constantly having to go in and screw around with mods because you guys want to increase our cap space, especially when you have to move. You have your loadouts and stuff, and you can't use your loadouts because you don't have the space, and they had not addressed it. You want us to work on mods? I think the stuff that you've done for mods and the way we can slice them and improve them and everything is great, but you created such a backlog where players are sitting there with all these mods that they want to work on and slice up, but you can only get the materials so fast. Even if you spend, it takes a while, right? So
yeah, it's pretty astronomical.
It's just
like
I mean, they need to increase the amount of characters coming in the game and everything with the amount of mods we have to work on, because there's certain stats and certain things we have to work on. So we're constantly slicing mods, which you should be, and working on mods, but we need more space. Am I, Karth, Dev, jump in here on this or not?
Yeah, it needs more. It just needs more space.
You need help.
Yeah, just doubling it, just double the size.
It was I think during your ACS fundraising when Crumb showed up, the point was made, and he wasn't even aware of, was that we have a mod loadout limit, so the amount of loadouts you can have on your account is now smaller than the number of characters in the game.
Right. It's your number one.
So you should maybe look at fixing that, at least that part of it. But like, it doesn't make sense to why they fight it so hard on doing it. Like I get part of it is because they don't want to commit the resources to doing it. But yeah, it's just funny to me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we have, what else? We have 257 characters in the game. We should have mod loadouts that equal, or mod space that it could equal that times, what, 2 or 3, so that we don't have to deal with this crap. It's really frustrating. when you're just constantly running out of mod space and you're having to move mods and look at mods and then have to make decisions on mod to sell. Some you'd like to take up, but sometimes you just get stuck. It's like, I'd like to work on you, but no, and you have to be very particular now, and then you have to wait for your resources to come in to to roll mods. It's really the thing we're gonna CG needs more money. We need more money, buddy. If we don't get more money, then we can't do stuff. Yeah, I agree. 300 should be the minimum. So it has been brought to their attention. So, all right. Getting closer to starting to wrap up this version of the Jedi Academy. Probably the last one of the year. I may try to get one next Saturday if I can. We'll see. If not, then the weekend of the 29th, 30th, I will not be streaming. So if I don't get one in next weekend, this will be the main one. So any good or bad, that you guys want to bring up, feel free to get that in. Any questions you guys have, feel free to get those in right now. We'll open it up again to whatever you guys want to discuss. So any regular streams next week on Twitch Ranger? Yes. Unlike last week when them tornadoes come in and threw me off and I couldn't do stuff, I'm gonna be trying to get as many streams as I can in between those weeks. So yeah, you'll get streams in the weeks, but the weekends will be busy for me. But yes, you'll get your weekly Ranger streaming. What else? Another question? How many stars are you doing in TV? We're trying for 36 on this current one, so just curious. What are we?
We 37 this go around.
Yeah.
We're not hard pressed for stars, just because the requirements are like I said before. It's all for me. It's all about ROI in this game, and the requirements for TB are really high. You got to have a lot of shitty characters at really high relics to make it work. And it's like I'm looking at it right now. It's actually what I'm working on is putting a list together of what we need to have at R9 to be able to start the Ring of Kafri for platoons. So as it sits right now for that particular planet, we have 47 unassigned characters. So that means basically everybody in the guild is going to have to pick up a Relic 9, which is going to suck because some of these are garbage.
Rebel Soldier, anybody? Oh, it's me. That's me.
I believe he's even required too.
Yeah, I'm gonna
go.
Yeah.
Is he where'd he go? That's Resistance Trooper.
Can't wait to put that fucker on.
But yeah, it's just things like that where it's like, hey, you could do the armor if you really want, sell that Mandalorian.
I'll be happy to do the armor, but then I have to do a Hoth Rebel Soldier. I'm gonna be very sad.
I don't think he's required on Kafri though.
Well, if he's not required, then I won't do Relic 9. You just tell me which Relic 9, and I'm sure it'll be great. It'll be great card. So happy. Probably Rolo or something.
No. Well, the thing is the nice thing about this in particular is that there are actually a good swath of them. They will just be some that are shitty because we're gonna need like 8 or 9 Jedi Knight Lukes to Relic 9. We're gonna need 5 Grandmaster Yodas, which isn't great, but I mean he's still a good character. And he's a special damage dealer, so he actually gets a decent jump going to Relic 9. We need 6 gases at Relic 9. So it's there are some good ones, but then there's a lot of shitty ones. We need 2 ETH costs at Relic 9. We need, I'm a Gundai at Relic 9. We need Omega Rose Tico at Relic 9. Veteran Smuggler Chewbacca at Relic 9. Hoth Rebel Soldier at Relic 9. You have him Relic 8, don't you? Yeah. You do have to do it.
Bitch.
Anyways, but it's just that kind of thing is we're going through that list of what needs to happen to make this work. And it's just going to come down to everybody in the guild has to pony up and do an R9 and then we can start working on that because we can probably get the first star easily just by filling platoons, and then as our GP inflates more, we could probably get to the second or third star with relative ease. Yeah. But it would just require more CM investment. But yeah, No, but,
Yeah, I'm sorry about the ads, guys. There's not much I can do. So what happens now? YouTube is starting to insert ads during streams, unless you're like a subscriber, stuff like that. I try to catch it as much as I can, but they constantly spam it at you. And if I'm looking at the chat and looking over here and I miss it, it'll insert an ad. There's nothing I can do about it. So I can't. I'll have to find a way to not do ads. I try to make it to where we don't do ads. So I'll have to look at the settings for that. So yeah. That's how you do it. So if you watch the ad, it gives us revenue. But on the other hand, it interrupts your experience. So I hate it. So. Yeah. Question: do you think that the fact that they brought down the stats and the Datacrons this time was because of the criticism and is a new tech? I don't think that the stats. These stats are weird. Special act. They've split all this stuff up. It's so confusing, Karth.
Well, I mean, I hope it's them looking at the stats they've been giving Datacrons and realizing it's too much, and they need to tone it down. But the problem that sucks is that you have to let it fizzle on its own.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, is like, we have to wait through another season of 5v5 for set 11 to go away and the Ufocrons to die off. Once they do that, if the set 13 comes out and it mimics what we see in set 12, then I think Datacrons might be in a better position to where players really only need to focus on the 3, 6, and 9s for their crons, and they're not stuck needing to re-roll for 400% defense on their teams. I think that would be a much more engaging thing to do, but that's just one man's opinion.
And I blame Finn. Thank you. I want to see Ranger and ETH Call 2, streamer luck or punishment. And he wonders why I responded the way at the beginning of the stream. He makes comments like that. What else? 23 question. Card, did you get to use your Paz IG-12 team yet in GAC, and how's it going so far? That team is sick.
I put it on defense this go around, but
oh shit.
It doesn't really do anything for me right now because it doesn't matter in threes. The team needs five characters. Like, so it's on the back wall right now. Well, actually, no, it's on the front wall. It's on the front wall right now with Bo-Katan lead and then Paz and IG-12. Just for shits and giggles sake, it's not going to do anything. There is nothing that it can do. The team needs a team of 5. It needs Bo-Katan leading it. The new one, not the one we have in the game. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, I guess we will just continue to not do things. Like, that's where we're at.
All right. So final call for questions. We'll get those in, and then do that. GC right now, I cleared the south. I'm just waiting to see what my opponent does. We did have a couple drops on Ray. So we'll see what happens. Got stuff to finish clearing up the north and fleets. Backwall should be okie dokie. We've had to use some teams. We tried some stuff last night. I tried Dr. Afra versus Jabba because everybody wanted to see it last night. Didn't go well. They targeted Afra as I expected because I have that kind of luck with the Illuminati, and I lost. And I'm like, okay, let me just use GMK like I was playing. So yeah, you can use it, but
I used it as a cleanup on a Jabba. So I took out
that's
the
a
layer,
safer bet,
and then I saw it in the counters on SWGOH.gg, and I'm like, really? She works? I've got that team. Our Relic 5. That's brilliant. Took it in. It took me 4.5 minutes because Black was out and kept on getting revived, but it was great as a cleanup.
Yeah. So buyer beware. Dr. Afra's got a 70% win rate against Jabba, and if you get the 30% where they target Afra, well, God bless you. So yeah. Blake's another question. Why do you say that GLA will be bad on defense after this Datacron? Sure, not as menacing, but is there a non-GL counter? If no, then I would say it's a good one, right?
Reva beats the living shit out of her without the Datacron.
Yep.
Like, it is gonna you're just gonna steamroll it.
Yeah.
Like, and Reva doesn't have a higher priority to go fight than a GL. Like, and no one's putting JMK on defense. And so it's like, and even the Reva versus JMK isn't as guaranteed as Reva versus Leia. So you can just use any other GL counter versus JMK for a much more consistent fight, and then just go beat the shit out of her. Like, people do not understand how much the Drogenkron is lifting Leia. The 50% with the 75% damage reduction over 50% turn meter, asinine. The thing that he gives everyone keen stratagem with 50% offense and 50% potency out the rip. Taking the bonus turn means his speed no longer matters. He can open up and stun somebody right out the rip. He gets all rebel allies 200% max health, and they are immune to ability block and fear for the first turn. That is huge. Leia's all is far more threatening with that Drogenkron than any other time. And then the stats with the set are bonkers. You know, having either massive health pools increased by the Datacron, or the defense increased by the Datacron. You know, it's just crazy. Like, it's once it goes away, Leia has no teeth left in like toxic Leia is a joke.
Yeah.
Because that you're not, the damage output falls off through the fucking floor. The damage immunity is gone. So there's no way you're going to just take the infinite hits from the Inquisitors with Death Mark equipped, and then it's going to fall apart so much faster. Like, it's going to be a completely different ball game when that Datacron set goes away.
The counters to Leia are well known, and you can use them if that Datacron is off. So yeah, I mean, you can go in there with SLKR and do good work.
Right? Yeah, I mean, SLKR. I mean, everything beats her on offense besides, I believe,
JML.
No, JML is one of the better counters. I think Lord Vader is one of the ones that struggles versus her.
Because the tenacity and all the other shit that they get.
They cleanse. They cleanse so much.
So there are hard counters to her after this.
Yeah, can I get can I get some advice on a couple of counters from you? So I've got a Treya team with a data. My opponent has got a low account. It's a very, very early account, 5.1, but they've gone hard on some relic characters.
Sure.
And they've gone hard. They've got some Datacrons as well. So I've got a Treya, Nihilus, Savage with a level 5 Datacron. I'm not worried about the Datacron because the Datacron is pretty weak. It just gives them 20% protection and some additional stats. What's an obvious counter for that?
For Treya, Savage, and what was the other one?
Nihilus.
Depending how they're modded, Gidme can work versus that.
They've all got the Savage and Treya have got the nom-noms on as well.
No, that doesn't change that. Okay, it's just how they're modded. If they are health modded, then Gidme can work.
Yeah, Gidme can work.
No. Yeah, Treya's offense modded. Savage
what's
modded?
Which is larger, their health pool or their protection pool? Because that's all that matters.
Oh wow, okay. Health pool, protection pool seems to be the protection pool.
Yeah, so that if Savage isn't modded for tons of health, it's hard to one tap him.
He's got 6 crit chance mods on him. There you go.
Okay.
Trying to get that.
So what team do I throw against that?
What do you got?
Let's see, squads. I've still got 3 GLs, but I need to keep my JMK for a JMK mirror. So I've got C, Slacker, JKL.
I'm looking at the counters on SWGOH.gg versus that team. Ew.
Gas, CLS.
I mean, mirror is 71%. Against that, Gidme won't work.
Can't mirror because my Treya team's still gear 12.
Right. It's GL. Dr. Afra against that team, which I'm sure you don't have, is really.
Yeah,
really
no,
good.
I have. I've got Dr. Afra.
With the Kron?
Oh, not with the Kron, no. I've just got regular Dr. Afra squad.
It says it's 88.2% with a 55 average. Can't use gas. Well, gas Rex and 5s. Gas Rex and 5s is 81% against it.
Okay. I'm just going to write those both down then. EA and Gas.
Most of they're hard hitting teams here. Qui-Gon.
Make sure you turn off If you're looking, are you looking through Insight or just the regular GAC?
Regular GAC.
Okay, yeah, because Insight you can turn off cleanups, which will
Yeah.
also that which is helpful because sometimes you're like, that
Yeah.
shouldn't
Yeah.
work.
C one shots. I'm just trying to think of things that are not GLs. GLs will handle it.
Yeah.
Because it gets rid of
I,
the Omicron. It's
yeah,
an
but my
automatic
opponent
death.
has one GL, and that's a JMK. So I'm just going to mirror that one, and even if it doesn't work, I've got some stuff to clean it up. I've still got a Slacker, but I'm thinking I need to save Slacker for Malgus. Because
You can
there's
use
a
gas
Malgus,
versus Malgus.
because
Pretty sure.
the
What's
Malgus
the
one.
Malgus team?
Well, that's just it. It's Malgus, Sith Trooper, and Sith Marauder.
That's
I
gas,
mean,
baby.
it's got a Datacron on it, but the
Doesn't
Datacron is it's
matter.
one of those crappy ones. It's just 20% protection up at the start with a few extra stats. There's 40 defense, 10% accuracy, 18% protection, and there's just nothing to it at all. So I'm thinking, Slacker against that, or is Slacker overkill?
It's overkill. I would say versus that team.
Mm-hmm.
Gas against any Malgus counter, especially that one.
All right then.
Yeah, that one is like an 86% chance to beat it with
That's
Rex
an
and
obvious
Fives.
gas one, is it?
Yeah, gas.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
save
I'll use DA against I'll use Doc Afra against Trey and then see if that works. That should be fine. I mean, even if it doesn't, I mean, I suppose I could just use C for the
yeah.
JMK for JMK mirror, use C for Treya just to be certain, and then
It beats it easily.
yeah,
And then you can gas the Malgus team or SLKR. It doesn't really matter. Linky, so what do y'all think about the new Dark Trooper Gideon? He's been on defense in threes. Or Garth, what do you think about him?
He's pretty solid. I mean, he's a good character. He's got a lot going on. He's gonna be really nutty. I think in the long run. So like I think it's gonna be just kind of a very powerful setup with that character. I like the current Datacron stuff gives him just a ridiculous level of damage output because of the converting all that defense to health, or sorry, all the defense to offense. Makes it really just stupid nutty. Like it's kind of crazy how much damage, like watching Scout Trooper hit for like 400k. It's like you make what's his nuts Drogon feel inferior when you're doing that kind of counter. So it's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's where I kind of come off on it.
Yeah. So there's some stuff in there. So yeah, hopefully that helps you out with that. So there you go.
Oh, that was one thing I wanted to last time we spoke. I asked you about the Gar Saxon Imperial Super Trooper combo.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, so I'm one piece of gear away from relicking Gar. So what was the team that him and his buddy go in for 3v3? Because you said that there was a really, really powerful offense team that you could, because of some interaction.
You can put them with Maul lead,
Gar
and ISC with
and
Maul.
they will crush.
And they will do a lot. But the problem is you need somebody to be fast.
Yeah.
So you either need to mod your Maul to be fast, or you need to put some ungodly speed on ISC, which is going to really be
Maul's
shitty.
the easier of the two because he's way faster and you
yeah,
can get
much higher base
like
speed,
350 to 360 easily.
What Maul's the one to mod, is he?
Yeah, you get speed set with.
You need speed if you're going to run
offensive
with Gar
primaries.
ISC.
Yeah, offensive primaries with speed set. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at my Maul.
Philippe says, do you remember the leak last year ago for who was yet to come in? Mostly was correct. There was also Bill Organa. Maybe that's the one in the next light side conquest, or why didn't they bring him?
No, I mean, idea. There are options, I suppose. I don't have an answer for that, to be honest with you.
So no idea. I mean, you got to understand there's a board and there's a set way that they want to put out characters, but then it changes and they'll move characters back and they'll bring other characters forward, and they have certain criteria and timelines that they're trying to hit. So, and then maybe someone says it's maybe not the time to bring them out for what we're trying to do. So there can be a lot of reasons that we are not privy to. I mean, we could speculate, but that's all it is. I'll just be pulling theories out my ass on why that it's not the deal. So, yeah. And I blame Finn. I don't know why
That's how that goes.
That's the way it goes, So, okay. Last call for questions. We're gonna start wrapping it up here. Actually, yeah, last call. You got a minute to get a question in, and then we're gonna start wrapping it up. And then Carth, we're gonna do another video today.
That's the plan.
Right after this, we'll knock it out so you can enjoy the rest of your day. As much as Carth loves me, he loves his wife more, family more, which is the way it's supposed to be, and he wants to hang out with them, and I respect it. But yeah, if you guys didn't know, I saw somebody in the chat saying there were tornadoes. Yeah, my area got hit with 3 tornadoes. We had a bad storm come in Saturday night, and didn't realize that at the time because it was just a big, giant red flop. I put a link to some of the damage that didn't come close in the RC updates. Again, if you guys need to know why I'm not streaming, just go to RC updates and I post stuff in there. But I put a video in there of just some of the damage, a very minute of, you can see the trees ripped out and everything that hit. Yeah, I blame Finity too. But yeah, we got hit with 3 tornadoes. That's why I wasn't streaming last week. I didn't have internet connection. Luckily, the power went out a little bit, but it came back pretty quick. We were lucky. A lot of the places here did not have power or internet or cell phone service because everything got ripped to shreds too. I mean, we had straight line winds when the storm came in, like any thunderstorm like that, but it was so big they just couldn't tell. But after the damage was done, it's like, yeah, those are tornadoes. Those are tornadoes. But luckily, where I'm at, we are in the side of a hill and a giant brick, very sturdy home. So the only thing that would ever get damaged here would be the roof, but that's okay because most of the house is not in the hill. Thank God for the hill. Can't believe I'm saying that. If Finity wasn't on vacation, he could have flown over with his pink hot tub, which I hear doubles as a Wi-Fi hotspot. No, it doesn't, and that would have been awful. But I couldn't have streamed it anyway. God damn it. So the hot tub stream, but I'm not going to get that done until I get the tattoo finished, and then I can do it safely. And you guys can see the full tattoo. All right. All right. Final thoughts, Nev. Anything you want to talk about before we get on out of here?
I'm going to give it about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to do my GAC.
That's right. Go watch Nev do his GAC.
I'm on a winning streak at the moment. I went 3-0 in week 1. I won my first round. As long as I can get past this Malgus JMK, and yeah, my opponent's a 5.1 mil GP account, so I should go 5-0, which would be nice. But I am in a Rhodium, so that's why the easy opponents.
Well, I'm 3-1. If I win this one, I'll be 4-1. So holding down the fort. Jedi Rules, I appreciate it. Says Range, like I said yesterday, I'm glad you're back. Thank you for saying that, Jedi. Garth, how's GC going? Pretty awful.
It's fine. It's not crazy.
But Carson, the big boy pants.
I'm way out. Well, I'm way out of it now. I'm
good.
Yeah, I went 0-6, and so I've fallen. Well, no, I was 5-1. So coming out of the last week of 5v5 and the first week of 3v3, I was just kind of falling out of it. I didn't really give a care.
Why should you? All right, guys, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share this with other folks. Make sure you leave lots of comments. That does help with the analytics, even if you've seen it. Watch the video all the way through. With that, we're going to go cut the next video for you guys. That'll be out in a couple hours. And that'll be me and Carth doing our thing. So on behalf of myself and the rest of the crew here at Jedi Academy, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you being here with us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you. Well, we'll be back tonight for D&D, and I think that's at 8 Eastern. And then we'll be back Monday, and I'll get you guys a full week of streaming. No Jedi Academy probably, but you'll get the full week of everything else. And then next week to the New Year's, same thing. So you'll get lots more streaming from me, but just not on the weekends, most likely. So enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate you guys, and we will haunt you later. Peace out.
Toodles.